Okay, can you guys see can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So when we're finished, also we'll have into share a little bit. I think next week we're gonna have James is gonna come back again, I think. Is that next week? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. We've been messaging back a little bit and forth. He gave me some pretty amazing PDFs that I shared in the group. I've been looking over that the last couple of weeks or so. So I'm excited to have him back. So this week we're going to talk about the business idea that we're going to talk about is the cycles that happen in your business, and then we're going to finish with the Cellsentials, the foundational product. And I think I shared a couple weeks ago that we finally got our patent for the Cellsentials, which is like amazing. And I've gone through the last 4 weeks on Wednesdays. Dr. Rob Sinnott from USANA has done presentations on basically healthy lifestyle. But this week he did one on the landscape of prevention. And it was really amazing. So I encourage you guys, if you want to catch up on that information, it's in the YouTube channel. So it's in my Nathan McCullough YouTube channel. There's a playlist that has USANA health topics, and it's got the last 4 presentations from Dr. Rob. There's sort of a continuation. The week before last was a personal accountability, personal responsibility for your health, and this week was about prevention and the landscape of prevention. And then he talks about how USANA and Cellsentials plays into the landscape of prevention. So I was inspired by that, and I wanted to just have a short Cellsentials presentation for you guys tonight and just share the very basic things that I think are very important for you to be able to know in order to share with your potential customers about really what makes the Cellsentials unique. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the cycles of your business. And this is a topic that I got from actually, I got it from Jared Krebs, who's a $1 million club earner in USANA. And I've shared with him a couple of times. Apple has gotten personal coaching from him. I've also gotten some personal coaching from him. But Jared invests in Eric Worre, who is the author of GoPro, has a mentorship program, a 6-figure earner mentorship program that Jared is a part of. And during that mentoring that he did with Eric, he shared it with him about these cycles of business. And I got them from Jared, who got them from Eric. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. And then the next couple of weeks, we're going to do, I have some, I think some interesting information about a topic on something called a growth mindset that we're going to break up into a couple of different sections. Probably get William to come on and share a little bit as well. But it is the most important thing, I think, in terms of your own personal development as a human being, and also in your USANA business. So we'll start off with the cycles. So the first thing to really recognize is that life is really full of different seasons and different cycles, right? So we have winter, we have spring, we have fall, we have summer, right? So there's these different cycles. And then when in our own life, we have, adolescents, teenagers, middle age, old age, we have different cycles. Our calendar has different cycles. We have days, months, years. Every culture has their own calendar, their own cyclical thing. Obviously, we have our own internal cycles, right? So our hormonal health is very, very tied into our environment, and then the people that we spend our time with. So sometimes our hormonal cycles can be synced or linked with other people. And then the earth has its own cycles. We have seasons. Water has its own cycles. Economies have their own cycles. Relationships have their own cycles, right? And so the important thing to know about these cycles is that you can't avoid them, right? There's natural cycles in your business, which we're going to talk about. And so you can't avoid the cycles, right? There's ebbs and flows in everything. It's just part of life. It's part of being human. It's part of our everyday experience in the world. Um, but what you can do is you can avoid some of the pitfalls that come with awareness of what they are, right? So ebbs and flows, sometimes we have abundance that's flowing in our life and we've really caught momentum and things are really going well with our health, our financial situation, our relationships. And then ultimately what happens is things happen, and there are ebbs that happen where maybe a pandemic happens, right? We have a financial crisis. Our marriage has a rough patch. We go through difficult times with our children. We have issues with our friends, right? It's just part of life, is you have these cycles of um, abundance and scarcity, for a lack of better term. So you can't avoid those cycles, but you can impact how they go, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So the first cycle that Eric talked about is really faith. So when it comes into your business, when you first start, obviously you don't know if you're going to be successful or not, but you're excited and you do have faith that it's going to grow, right? So that's when, what do they say? It's like naivete on fire, right? So when you first come in, you have that excitement, you have that passion, and you have that belief of not knowing if it's going to work out, but that it can. And you have belief that you can grow, that you can grow a big team, that you can help a lot of people, that you can make a lot of money. Hopefully, if you have a job that you don't like, you can transition out of that. If you have a lot of credit card debt or things like that going on in your life, you can get rid of those things, right? There's a lot of faith that really anything is possible, right? And you have a belief in yourself, at least to some extent, right? You believe, I can do this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have started in the first place. So you have a sort of naive belief that you can do this, right? So that's really step one, or stage one. And then stage two is the courage stage. So once you've already started, that's when, we talked about the entrepreneurial roller coaster, right? There's lots of ups and downs. People join, you're excited. People quit, you're sad. You get people that you get customers that come on board, they have great experiences. That's very exciting. You have, maybe someone in your family refuses to take the supplements. That's deflating. So you have this like constant state of up and down that you have to deal with when you're in the business. And then you also are going to face a lot of rejection, right? Let's just be real. Anytime you're in sales or you're in business or anytime you're trying to do something that is worthwhile, it's always going to be difficult, or it's always going to be uphill, as John Maxwell says. And so you're going to face a lot of what feel like rejections in the beginning. And it really takes courage to get through those ups and downs, to get through those rejections. It takes a lot when people quit. I think I have shared in the past, but one of the most difficult times in my personal business was I was building in New Zealand. Things were going great. I came back to America for my wedding with Simmer. And I started building in the US, and things went great really quickly. I got my brother on board. We built a team of like 10, 15 new associates. We all went to convention, had a blast. We're like partying. It was like amazing. And my brother really wanted to be like the main leader on the East Coast for our STI organization. And I was going to go to Indonesia and start building in Indonesia. And at that time, when I went, I really hadn't trained him well. I can look back and see that, but he ended up quitting. And so all of the people that were in that team that we had built also ended up quitting. And so I lost like a whole line in the US. And so that was really difficult for me because A, he was my brother, B, there was like so much excitement, and C, there was like all these people that were underneath of him. And so I had an amazing spiritual lesson in that sense, because it hurt. And that would, that would have been enough maybe at a different time in my life to have me quit, or, walk away, or, think because people quit, I'm not good enough, something like that. Right. And I can look back on that now and see that that has been a huge source of growth and transformation for me, because that's the time when I realized that this business is not just about enrolling new people and just being like super hyped up all the time. It's about slowing down and making sure people have what they need in order to empower themselves. So it's about empowering other people. And I never would have learned that had my brother not quit. So who knows whether I'd have, the couple thousand people that I have in my organization had it not been for that lesson. So you also have in this period the growing pains that come from learning new things. Inta and I have really gone back and forth a number of times, and learning how to use the customer connect, use the hub, find out how to find out where to map out your business, figure out where this and that is on the hub, how to use the technology. When you have things that don't go well, how to use customer service. And a lot of those, just like when you learn anything else, there's a lot of growing pains during that time when you're learning new things. And it really takes a lot of courage to be able to get through that and to keep persevering and to keep going. So you go through these cycles of, I can do it. And then it's like, oh my God, this is too hard. I can't do this. And then, someone joins and you get excited again. I can do this. And then, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. You're constantly going through those cycles of ups and downs, belief, unbelief in yourself. And that's part of the courage stage. Sorry, just one moment. And then you have the freedom stage, where once you get through those the first couple of years of building with courage, then things start to really shift. You get momentum. You get some leaders in your business. People, you get duplication happening. You start building a team. You get a strong group of clients, right? You're building up those clients. You build a team, and you develop, either a part or a full-time income, depending on how much time and energy that you're putting into USANA. And that can give you the opportunity to, potentially walk away from, if you have a 9 to 5 type of position. It helps you create a little bit of a positive cash flow that you can then invest in other businesses, real estate, different things like that, right? And so it gives you a lot of freedom to be able to do those types of things. And once you get to that place, you're sort of in a new cycle where you can actually change your lifestyle. And that's ultimately the place where people, once you hit this stage, the chances of you continuing on are much higher, because the business is now providing you with a type of freedom that is very difficult to get from lots of other business opportunities, because such a low overhead cost in USANA, that once you really start generating the passive residual income, there's virtually no overhead. And so it goes to creating a pretty amazing lifestyle. Which brings you to the fourth cycle, which is abundance, a stage of abundance, where you have, a lot of money that you can put aside, that you can invest in other projects. You have, you can have, multiple businesses going at the same time that are all cash flowed through your network marketing business. It gives you the opportunity to travel a lot if you want to do that. I've sort of come to the point now where traveling was one of my biggest goals and one of the biggest things that I love doing. And now over the last, 4 years or so, I've traveled so much that I'm enjoying having the freedom to be back home with my family in America, and spending more time here. But you have that freedom to choose and have a lifestyle of both having a financial and also time freedom, right? So you have that dynamic of the financial freedom being able to give you your time back. And time is really the most valuable resource that you have. So in order to get to this stage, it took faith and courage and freedom to really create this sort of abundance type of lifestyle. So this is sort of the fourth cycle, which oftentimes can give rise to complacency. And this is something that I feel like all of us, myself included, fall into at some point. And a lot of times it can come from, if you have a lot of success in something, you can become complacent. I feel like I'm sort of coming out of this stage at the moment. And so your comfort can create what we call a success coma. Um, our VP of sales, he calls it getting drunk on the champagne of your own success, right? You want to be able to pop bottles and have an amazing lifestyle. Just don't get drunk on that, right? Because then you get lazy. So here you go into what we call management mode. And this is something I've been really guilty of in the past, which is you get away from doing the things that got you to the success in the first place, and you start managing your team instead of growing your own business personally. And so this can get you, it's very easy to fall into this once you have a strong residual income and there's not that sort of back against the wall kind of mentality where you have to get it done. It can make you complacent, and you can get to the place where your drive and your motivation declines, and you really have to at that point create a new why, create a new motivation, because the reason why the motivation and the drive goes down is because whatever that initial reason for growing your business, you've achieved that, and now you need to create something else. This is what also when James was talking about a couple of weeks ago from the Napoleon Hill, he created amazing lifestyle and amazing wealth, but he forgot to create what he wanted after that. And so once he created what it was that he said he wanted, it just went away because he didn't create anything else. And he learned that lesson. So that's something that when he shared that really had a big impact on me. And I actually went back to the drawing board and created, using the 6 steps from Napoleon Hill, actually created a new vision for myself. And it helped me really set my targets on what's next for me. So that's something that's very important, because if you don't, it can give rise to the next cycle, which is arrogance. And arrogance in the sense that, you got this, the business is growing on its own, you start taking your money and your lifestyle for granted. It creates this sort of weird lack of humility in your business, where you feel like you don't need people, or maybe you're up here, they're down there. It can create this sort of weird dynamic like that. And a lot of times you can stop doing personal development as much because you feel like you know all the basics, you don't really need to know anymore. You can kind of show up to convention without the same excitement, without the same game plan for your team, without the same kind of thing, because it's kind of like, oh, I've been here, I've done that, I know how to do this, I can just show up and wing it, that type of thing. And anytime you get into a position where you feel like you know something, that's always the death of growth, right? So I know this. As soon as you say, either out loud or in your mind, I know this already, it cuts off the possibility of anything new coming up. So that really is the death of growth. And not growing obviously creates a spiritual decline. So it can oftentimes have an impact in different parts of your business. And sometimes, right, it can lead to the last cycle, which is apathy, where you just really, you stop caring about it, you get lazy, you stop paying attention to your customer, your team members, you take your eye off the ball in terms of your team, and you become unfocused. And a lot of times there's no personal development happening at this stage. And I'm doing a presentation. Sorry. And it becomes all about you, right? So you become self-absorbed. You forget about the reason why you started in the first place, the people that you're serving, your leadership, all of that. And a spiritual decline oftentimes lead to a business that starts declining as well. So remember, the more you grow, the more your business grows. And if you stop growing, it would also has a reverse effect, and it can have an impact on business decline. And then in the last cycle, you go back to where you were, because there's a sort of forced humility that happens when your business declines or your lifestyle declines, or as a lot of business owners have found out this time, or even employees have found out during this pandemic, life was going on pretty normal for a lot of people. Things were good, that, you know, there's money, they have this and that, and then bang, their main source of income gets taken out, and all of a sudden the security that they thought was there, they now realize that was an illusion. And it creates a kind of forced humility where you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, how do I recreate myself so I can figure out what's next. And you get back to this place of spiritual faith is the thing that's actually required in order to recreate yourself, right? If you don't recreate yourself, then you just create the downward spiral. But a lot of times when things fall apart, it's an opportunity for you to then put them back together. So the cycles are guaranteed, but the cycles are guaranteed, but what cycles actually depend on you. So you don't have to necessarily go through those declining cycles, right? You can actually get to the point where you can hit that stage of abundance, and then you can cycle right back to faith and be able to go through the courage and then freedom as you just keep leveling up. Because in this business, you know, when you build a team, you know, you have an additional level of accountability and personal responsibility, and then there's the next level of growth. So as long as you can hit that abundance threshold and then cycle back to faith and just keep that the positive momentum going, and you can avoid those later pitfalls and those later cycles if you have the awareness. And what's really required is what we're going to call a growth mindset. Okay, so I want to just watch a quick video on the growth mindset. Is a book actually by Carol Dweck, and in my personal belief, I think it's the most important book that has been written in the last like 50 years. And I've read a lot of things in the personal development industry. There's a lot of amazing people out there. This is the newest breakthrough in the area that we call psychology, personal psychology. And this book changed the entire landscape of psychology as we know it, because all of the psychology before her book, Mindset, believed basically that our personalities and who we were fixed things. So we had certain characteristics, we had certain personalities, we had certain talents, and then we had to create inside of those fixed characteristics. Similar to IQ. We believe that because IQ is something that's static, relatively fixed, that determines how successful someone can possibly be. And what we've learned, similar to genetics, and is that actually that's not the whole story. And there's this whole other realm of what we call brain plasticity, which means your personality is not fixed. It can change based on your own personal growth. And so this idea of a growth mindset is something that she introduced in this book.
World-renowned Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck, in decades of research on achievement and success, has discovered a truly groundbreaking idea: the power of our mindset. In one of her earlier researches, she wanted to study how people cope with failures. She did it by watching how kids grapple with hard problems, so she gave children in their school a series of puzzles to solve. The first ones were fairly easy, but the next ones were hard. Confronted with the hard puzzles, one 10-year-old boy yelled out, "I love a challenge." Another, sweating away on those puzzles, looked up with a pleased expression and said, "I was hoping this would be informative." Carol always thought you coped with failure, or you didn't cope with failure. She never thought that anyone loved failure. Not only weren't these kids discouraged by failure, they didn't even think they were failing. They thought they were learning. Carol at the time thought that human qualities were carved in stone. You were smart or you weren't, and failure meant you weren't. If you could arrange successes and avoid failures, you could stay smart. Struggles, mistakes, and perseverance were just not part of the whole being smart picture. Those children, on the other hand, thought that human qualities such as intellectual skills could be cultivated through effort. And that's what they were doing, developing their intellectual skills, or simply put, getting smarter. So what does this mean for you? It shows us how a mindset can have a profound effect on your life, and that there are two mindsets, fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Believing that your qualities are carved in stone, which is a part of the fixed mindset, creates an urgency to prove yourself over and over. If you have only a certain amount of intelligence, a certain personality, and a certain moral character, well, then you'd better prove that you have a healthy dose of them. That's why people with a fixed mindset shy away from challenges, because they're scared their deficiencies could be unmasked through it. The growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things you can cultivate through your efforts. Now, growth mindset doesn't mean everyone has the same talent and abilities. It just means everyone can grow through hard work, mentoring, and perseverance. So why waste your time looking smart when you could be getting smarter? We are slowly conveying these ideas that smart and talented people don't make mistakes and they don't work hard. The most important thing in the world is to be smart, talented, and look that way all the time. What happens is people start narrowing their world so they can succeed within that fixed mindset. But let's take a quick look at the world of sports. Michael Jordan actually wasn't a natural, but he was the hardest working athlete perhaps in the history of sport. It's well known that Jordan was cut from the high school varsity team, and he wasn't recruited by the college he wanted to play for, and he wasn't drafted by the first two NBA teams that could have chosen him. Weren't they foolish? Now we know he was the greatest basketball player ever, and we think it should have been obvious from the start. When we look at him, we see Michael Jordan, but at that point, he was only Michael Jordan. So when Jordan was cut from the varsity team, he was devastated, so his mother told him to go discipline himself. Boy, did he listen. After that, he used to leave the house at 6 in the morning to go practice for 3 hours before school. He had the growth mindset. He knew he could develop and improve his skills through hard work, and that's how he became the Jordan we all know today. So what can we do to engrave growth mindset into ourselves and others? Just knowing about the two mindsets can produce incredible results. The other thing we can do is praise more wisely. When we praise people for the process they engage in, their hard work, their perseverance, they learn to stick to challenges. Praising talent, on the other hand, makes them vulnerable. When we tell someone, "You did that so quickly, I'm impressed," they hear, "If I didn't do it quickly, you wouldn't be impressed." Or, "You got an A without working, you're so smart." They think, "Oh, if I work, you're not gonna think I'm smart." Instead, when you give praise to other people, you should try something between these lines. "I like the way you tried all kinds of strategies on that math problem until you finally got it. You thought of a lot of different ways to do it and found the one that worked." This way, you praise hard work and not the so-called talent. Also, telling people they are smart is one of the biggest mindset crimes you can commit. In one study, they actually found out that telling people they are smart lowers that person's IQ. Here's a common question about the mindsets. Can you have both mindsets? Many people have elements of both. You can have different mindsets in different areas. I might think that my personality is fixed, but that my intelligence can be developed. Or that my social skills are fixed, but my creativity can be developed. Carol found that whatever mindset people have in a certain area, that mindset will guide them in that region. You have a choice. Mindsets are just beliefs. They're powerful beliefs, but they're just something in your mind, and you can change your mind. So try your best to put yourself in the growth mindset every time you face a challenge. That way, you will be better.
So I thought that was really amazing. So this idea of the growth mindset is, we're not going to go into depth today because that's it for today's training. But I really believe that the ability to develop a growth mindset is the most important thing that any kid or any adult can do, is because if you don't have a growth mindset, you will stop learning, you will stop growing, and you will start declining. And so it really, as they said, just go through a couple of summary. They have a beginner's mindset with everything. So it's sort of adopted sense of humility where, as Socrates said, right? Many people consider him the greatest philosopher of all time. But what he's well known for is saying, the only thing I know is that I don't know. And bringing this idea of not knowing into all situations, which makes every opportunity an opportunity to learn. They focus on improvement, not getting things right. They have a belief that talent does not equal success, but that all things are learnable. That there's no one beneath you, right? You can learn from any situation or any person at any time. They see challenges as opportunities. They see failures as chances to start again better. And they see success in other people as an inspiration, not as evidence that they're not good enough, or they're not there yet, or I can't do that, or that this person there's something special about them that I can never do, right? That's a fixed mindset. And because right, your identity is not a fixed thing, then transformation is always possible, and you have infinite potential. And so it's very important to be able to actualize or realize your own personal potential, to believe that anything, obviously within reason and hard work, is possible for you, as long as you're willing to put in the work. And that, if you're able to do that, it keeps you in this perpetual state of faith and courage and freedom and abundance and faith. So it keeps you in that positive spiral, that upward positive loop of continual growth and continual development. So before we move into the Cellsentials, is there anything that you guys want to share about that or ask about that?
I think it's important to build new circuits in the brain.
You think it's important to build new circuits in the brain?
The neurons together, they fire together. Yeah.
Yeah.
New neuropathies.
Exactly.
Yeah, it changes everything.
Yeah.
And just be curious about things.
Exactly. That's very right. Yeah. That's what it's exactly right. So what they found out based on her research, now neuroscience has gone and done a lot of new research based on her findings. And what they found is exactly that you can actually build all kinds of new neural pathways based on this belief that it's possible, and then keep taking action. And you literally dig new grooves in your brain based on new repetitive action. So that's exactly right.
Yeah, but it's kind of repetitive, but it's new every day. So for example, you don't walk home like the same road. You just choose something else. You go on a different block, and then you complete your task. And whenever you complete your task, it's another circuit in the brain, and new opportunities open up.
Yeah. So is that why you are always walking around, Inta?
It depends.
And you always have a different background. But that's great. I love that. It's, what you're saying is, it's like curiosity, right? Just keeping that constant state of curiosity and wonder and newness in your life.
No, definitely. That's a good thing about not knowing. Even Dalai Lama talks about it. When you don't know things, you start getting curious, or you open to opportunities to find out, because when you know everything, there's nothing new.
Yeah. Amazing. How about you, Apple? You want to share something about that?
Yes, there's always something to learn, for sure. Really have to be conscious of putting aside the already knowing or thinking I already know when I don't really.
Yeah. Yeah, none of us do. That's the beauty. We're always in a constant state of not ignorance, but not knowing the full picture. Amazing. Okay, so I want to go into, I'm not going to go into a lot of depth, because sometimes if you go into depth with the Cellsentials, it can be very confusing. So what I want to do is really touch on what I think are the most important and understandable things about the Cellsentials that you can explain to other people in like common language that will make a huge difference. Okay, so the Cellsentials is really the thing that has put USANA on a whole different map. Okay, we had the Essentials, which was already a 5-star gold rated product in the NutriSearch comparative guide. And in 2016, when the latest edition of the comparative guide came out, they literally had to create the Platinum Plus, which is a whole new category, because they didn't know what to do with the Cellsentials. And the reason for that, which we'll talk about today, is because of the intelligence technology that's in them that makes the Cellsentials much more than simply a multivitamin. It's that and more. And so I want you guys to understand what the difference is between a multivitamin and what the Cellsentials is. So, you know, we've said this before, but anytime you want to build a house, right, the first thing that you have to do is build a strong foundation. And that's really what the Cellsentials are in USANA. It's the core product. It's the foundational product. So if people are only going to take one product, it's got to be the Cellsentials. And then we build their personal nutritional programs on top of that. So in 2016, we actually applied for 3 patents, and all of them were for the intelligence technology that was in USANA. And to be honest, talking to the scientists then and up until recently, there wasn't a lot of hope that the patents would actually be approved. But just having the patents put in is also a big deal, right? You go through that process. And then this year, they actually got approved. So it's a huge deal. That means I think there are patents for 20 years, right? So for the next 20 or 30 years, I can't remember which one, we have this proprietary blend and these patents on the intelligence technology that nobody else can copy. So it's put us in this sort of whole different stratosphere. And now, you know, that's patented. So it's a big deal. So there's 3 elements to to the Cellsentials that you have to remember. There's nourish, there's protect, and then there's renew. Okay, and at the end of this, I'm going to go through each one of those 3 things and talk about what that means inside of the Cellsentials product. These are really the 3 core things that you have to be able to explain to people about what makes the Cellsentials unique. So I wanted to just show this quickly. Dr. Rob showed this on Wednesday, and I was very almost astounded by these statistics. So if you look at, based on the North American diet, and then the mineral and vitamin deficiencies across the board, you can see that men 19 plus and women 19 plus, vitamin E, which is critical for brain health. It's critical to help slow down any sort of cognitive decline. Super important for a lot of different things. Women 19 and over, 90% of the population is deficient. Calcium, 88% of the population deficient. Magnesium, 67% of the population deficient. These are like extremely important vitamins and minerals that help your body function normally, not even on an optimal level, but they're things that your body needs in order to function properly and prevent disease. you can see at the bottom there, vitamin D is really the main driver for your immune system. And 59% of all men and women are deficient in vitamin D. So guess what? If you have a deficiency in vitamin D, you're automatically going to be much more at risk at this time for something like the COVID virus. And so, you know, it's very important that people understand that the diet has gotten so far away from where we used to be that our food alone is not getting anywhere near what we need on a daily basis just to stay out of a deficiency. A deficiency is not getting rid of a deficiency doesn't mean optimal health. It just means the level of nutrition that your body needs not to have a disease, right? So there's pretty alarming stats when I saw those. So when it comes to the Cellsentials, there's really 10 main benefits. Okay, so energy, mitochondrial function, which we'll talk about, heart health, brain and nerve health, eye health, bones, teeth health, mood, metabolism, skin, hair, and nails, muscles, and also immunity. So your Cellsentials are going to give you your basic nutrition that's going to help in all of these main areas of health. And so these are some of the things that you can share with your customers that people really report back to us on a very consistent and regular basis, feeling the result from the Cellsentials, and a lot of times quickly. Like Inta has shared before, her energy levels have gone way up. Also, hair, skin, and nails is a very easy one for people to pay attention to. Generally, once people are on the Cellsentials for a couple of months, the hair strength and their nail strength will increase dramatically. And that's a symptom of health. And so these are things that when they're happening, you know that someone's health is improving. So these are things that you can tell your customers to pay attention to so that they know the Cellsentials are really working. And you'd have to eat approximately 22,000 calories a day and spend more than 70 US to get the same amount of nutrients from food that you get in the USANA Cellsentials. Okay, so literally, basically, you'd have to be eating all day long in order to get the same amount of nutrients. And that's really just the vitamins and minerals. There are in the intelligence complex, which I'll touch on later. There are ingredients that are in the intelligence that you will never get from food. And so this one of these added benefits of the cell signaling and the intelligence technology that's in the product is you're not going to get these things from food. So it's important that you be able to have a product like the Cellsentials that can help you. So just very, very briefly, when it comes to the core minerals, okay, this is a premium blend of bioavailable minerals that support all of your cells, all of your organs, and all the structures that are in your body. So most diseases, when you have them, are the result of some sort of mineral deficiency in your body. And your minerals are going to need vitamins in order to make them work, right? That's why we need them in tandem or working synergistically. So the reason why you have minerals and vitamins and antioxidants separately is because obviously we wouldn't be able to put them all in one pill. It would be an enormous pill, but they work synergistically. So you get all your vitamins, all your minerals at the same time, and when they work together, it exponentializes their efficiency. So just a couple of things. Magnesium, it's required for energy production and over like 300 enzymes in your body, as well as over 3,000 different functions in your body. Magnesium is massively important. And you saw 2 slides ago, 68% of all men and women are deficient in magnesium. Zinc supports big time supporter of our immune system, the functioning of the normal immune system. It's pretty difficult to get zinc from adequate levels of zinc from food. Iodine is very important for your thyroid function and your hormonal function in the body. And then the N-acetyl-L-cysteine is something that is very difficult to get from food. It's an amino acid that is in the USANA product, and it supports the production of glutathione, which is the master antioxidant that your body can actually produce on its own. So this is one of the things that makes the Cellsentials very unique, is instead of just giving antioxidants, it actually teaches the body and trains the body to produce its own endogenous, these internal antioxidants that are massive, that are produced by your liver. And that is called glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. And this N-acetyl-L-cysteine is what actually is the triggers that cell signaling pathway that teaches your liver to produce the glutathione. The antioxidant is these are vitamins and antioxidants. Sometimes people confuse those two. Vitamins are obviously, what you get from fruit, vegetables, things like that. Antioxidants are things that are in the fruits and vegetables. And so we have the poly C is in the Vita antioxidant. So these are vitamin C in the form of ascorbic acid, and they're in a particular form that is very bioavailable by your body. Okay, there are forms of vitamin C that are not bioavailable at all. Like if you take Baraka or any of these over-the-counter vitamin C's, a lot of times they'll have these massive amounts in them, but it's not about the amount, it's about how much you absorb. So absorption is super critical for the form of vitamin C. And if you get the right form of vitamin C, like the poly C, it actually stays in your body longer instead of you just take it and then peeing it out. Vitamin D, we have a lot of vitamin D in the antioxidants. This was amazing. They added a lot of vitamin D from the essentials to the Cellsentials, and that's very consistent with the science. So it used to be, I think, 400 was the recommended daily allowance for vitamin D. We now know it's at least 1,000 is the baseline that the USDA has put out, but we believe very strongly that it's much higher than that, 2,000, 3,000, up to 5,000 IUs for depending on the individual. So there's a lot of vitamin D in this product, which is amazing. You saw almost 60% of the entire population deficient in vitamin D. Folate, super important for brain health and the metabolism of amino acids. Amino acids are insanely critical for maintaining muscle health as we age, and lots of other things. Vitamin K is interesting. The science is new on vitamin K. We now know that it has different forms, and so actually USANA has come out with an individual vitamin K supplement, because we know that vitamin K is a precursor to vitamin D, so it's very important for the absorption of vitamin D as well. And so vitamin K2 is incredible for bone health. So that's something that's really important for people to take. Vitamin A, healthy vision, and then the intelligence complex is what we'll talk about now. So here's a short 2-minute video.
Patent-pending USANA Intelligence technology is the new frontier of nutritional science. Intelligence nutrient complexes send signals through your cell's communication system to optimize your body's inherent health processes. You are made of trillions of cells, and each one of them is intelligent. Without you even knowing it, they carry out the body's natural functions of circulating your blood, supplying you with energy, renewing your skin, conducting electrical signals in your brain, detoxifying, and countless other activities. To keep all these critical processes going, your cells are communicating with each other and signaling within themselves. It's not just through impulses from the brain, but through biochemical signals in the form of hormones, enzymes, biomolecules from plants, nutrients, and many other signaling agents. It's like a series of codes, ultimately activating responses in your cells. Your cells respond to signals created in the body, as well as signals you receive from your nutrition. For example, you eat to fuel your body. The nutrients you consume are, of course, critical, but it's cellular communication that allows you to make use of that fuel. Molecular signals from a variety of places in the body travel to your brain and influence your feelings of hunger. More signals are necessary to call for the right digestive juices that help break down carbs, fats, and proteins to meet cellular needs and produce energy. When you want to use that energy to exercise, the electrical impulses from your brain signal a cascade of chemical reactions that cause your muscles to contract. These are just a few examples of the myriad of cell signaling networks in the body. All of this is possible thanks to your miraculous cellular intelligence and the intricate communication constantly going on behind the scenes. With intelligence technology, USANA has harnessed the scientific breakthroughs that are decoding this cellular communication. USANA's intelligence nutrient blends join the conversations your cells are having. This means we can tap into the cellular code that activates beneficial health processes in your body. Building on a foundation of nutrition and targeting a broad range of beneficial cell signaling, USANA provides optimal nourishment, enhanced antioxidant protection, and innovative cellular renewal. Intelligence is the new frontier in personalized health.
So that's just a little glimpse of the intelligence complex, and it really is the new frontier in terms of nutritional science. So the intelligence complex that we have is not just in the Cellsentials, right? The Precosa has it. So any of the bottles that have the little yellow sign, and we're also working on the new brain product, the Copa Prime, is also intelligence. We're bringing in Ayurvedic tradition, so East Asian tradition in terms of the Copa Prime has something called Bacopa, which is it was something that's been used in the Ayurvedic tradition for thousands of years, and we've put that in that product. And we're now working on a lot of different things in Chinese medicine and different Eastern traditions, and we're going to combine that with this intelligent technology, and it's just really exciting to see, because all our body is made up of cellular networks, and what the intelligence does is it taps into that cellular code, and it helps optimize the communication between our own cellular pathways. And so if we can optimize, for example, insulin pathways, we can have massive breakthroughs in diabetes. The work that we're doing in the microbiome, it's just really cutting edge, groundbreaking stuff. And that's what this intelligence really makes possible. So here's just a few things that are in them. So the resveratrol, the quercetin, the rutin, the alpha lipoic acid, green tea extract. The Mariva is what is in the Precosa. That's the proprietary blend of curcumin, which is turmeric, the most powerful naturally occurring anti-inflammatory in the planet. The Mariva is a more bioavailable form of turmeric, because naturally turmeric is not something that's very bioavailable or absorbable. And then we also have a patented olive oil fruit extract, which is a particular extraction method that we use to take the olive oil out of the fruit, and it makes the product itself more absorbable as well, because it's got those fatty acids that are in there. So these are part of the intelligence complex. I won't go into these in depth, but just know that these ingredients here, if you were to buy them separately, they would be extremely expensive. Resveratrol is insanely expensive. And so if you were to, you'll never find another multivitamin that has any of these things in them. I can guarantee you that. And if you had to buy them separately, it would cost a lot of money. So the Cellsentials has not only vitamins and minerals, but all of these, what they call phytonutrients, in the actual product itself, and it makes it just insane value for money. So it's just an amazing product. So like we said, there's three. There's Nourish, there's Protect, and there's Renew. Okay, I'm going to just explain them very briefly. On the left hand side, you have Nourish. Okay, this is what USANA has been doing for the last 25 years. This is what all the other supplement companies are doing that are on the market, which is giving your body the basic vitamins and minerals that you need to nourish the cells so that they can function normally or optimally if you have a quality product. Now, the Protect and the Renew are both unique to USANA, and they're unique to the Cellsentials. Okay, so the protection part is, so the protection part is, these are these endogenous antioxidants. And by endogenous, it simply means something that's produced internally. You have exogenous, which means you take it from outside. So things like blueberries, all berries, fruits, they have antioxidants that you consume orally, and then it goes into your system. And then an endogenous antioxidant is something that's produced inside of your body, and they're these giant antioxidants. I'll put those are just short little videos that I put into this presentation. I'll put them in the group that you can watch them and learn about the Nourish, Protect, and Renew at a deeper level. But just basically, I want you to be able to understand this image, which is when you take an exogenous antioxidant, it neutralizes one free radical at a time. And that's why for so long, all nutrition companies were mega dosing with antioxidants in order to try to neutralize these scavenger cells or these free radical cells that would go in and cause cancer and cause all kinds of cellular miscommunication in our body. And what Dr. Wentz realized was that this is such an ineffective and inefficient model of nutrienting the body, that your body can actually produce its own massive endogenous glutathione antioxidants that can neutralize hundreds and thousands of free radicals at one time. But because we're constantly eating and we're constantly putting in antioxidants, you're training your body not to produce its own glutathione. So we've now put in particular compounds in our product that will help the body actually do that. Keep in mind, for thousands of years, our ancestors went through back to what we were talking about earlier, cycles of eating, not eating. And so our body was actually very well trained at producing its own vitamins, its own antioxidants. And in the world that we live now, because we're constantly eating, a lot of those systems and mechanisms are still within our body, but we don't give our body a chance to actually do them because we're always putting food in. So fasting is one way of being able to produce this glutathione, and then taking the Cellsentials is another way. So if you ever do periods of prolonged fasting and you take the Cellsentials, it like supercharges your anti-aging. So this is something very important to understand about what makes the USANA, about the Cellsentials, unique. The third thing is renewal, so cellular renewal. So you have Nourish, which is just giving the cells what they need. Protect, which is this new technology, produce your own antioxidants. And then the renewal is where the biohacking comes in. This is where, through using the intelligence complex, we've actually trained our body to produce new mitochondria. And what we know is that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It drives your energy production using something called mitophagy, which is it's a natural occurring process in your body. It will kick in when you do fasting. It is a process by which your body will start breaking down inefficient cells and start making new mitochondria out of the old ones and get rid of the ones that aren't working. So your mitochondria produces ATP, which is, don't worry about what it stands for. It's energy. It's cellular energy. And as we age, our mitochondria get old, and they start actually dumping free radicals into the body instead of energy. So as we age, a lot of times our energy goes down, and the aging process is accelerated because your body's actually producing its own free radicals. And so if we could find a way to have new, efficient mitochondria, now you've actually dramatically slowed down the aging process. You've dramatically increased the energy production in your body. You've dramatically increased the health and vibrancy of all of your cells. And this is exactly what the Cellsentials does. And this is like really, this is the most exciting part, is if we can continue to learn how to create new mitochondria, what's possible in terms of longevity, so living longer, and then also the quality of our lives now is really, it's untapped. We don't know what's possible, but whatever, it's very exciting. And a lot of it has to do with this cellular renewal process. So again, I'll put that video in the group so that you can learn a little bit more deeply about that. Those videos, by the way, they're only like 2 minutes long. And then the last thing I just wanted to touch on before we finish up is actually Sonoviv, which is the medical facility in New Mexico that Dr. Wentz founded after USANA. And this is basically a holistic health hospital where they don't use any traditional medicine. They use raw vegan diet. They do laughter meditation, movement. When you go in, you literally meet with a circle of practitioners, psychologists, osteopaths, chiropractors, acupuncturists, all these different types of therapists, and you do an interview, and then they personalize your stay when you're there based on what you need. Now, this is also the home of where all the research goes on for the products in USANA. So this is full of functional medicine doctors who understand that the body has its own innate ability to heal itself as long as you take away the things that are causing misinformation or miscommunication, and then you add things that help with communication. And this is where USANA is doing things that no other company is doing right now. And this is the thing that makes it really exciting. This is really at the moment Dr. Wentz's baby. He's now retired actually from the board of directors from USANA, and he's mainly spending his time focused on Sonoviv, and the research and the development and the innovation that's going on in Sonoviv is incredible. It's open to the public, so people can go there and visit. You can go for, I think, 3 or 4 days or a week, or as long as you need. And really just an extraordinary, I haven't been there myself yet. So this one of my, it's on my dream board, is actually to spend some time there and they have a nutrition certification that you can get working with the practitioners there. But really, the Sonoviv is a medical institute that is really, really extraordinary. And again, it's just another manifestation of Dr. Wentz's vision of a world that's free from pain and suffering. And I really believe that the work that's going on in Sonoviv right now is going to change the face of medicine moving forward. If you guys know who Dr. Mark Hyman, who is the head of the cardiology department at the Cleveland Clinic, which is the #1 heart hospital in the world. He's a functional medicine doctor that's written a lot of books on, what functional medicine is. And there on YouTube is an interview with him at Sonoviv. He basically said that all of the patients that he can't cure, that he can't find a solution for, he sends them to Sonoviv because of the advanced technologies that are going on and the healing modalities that are happening there. So anyway, amazing medical institution. I really recommend, if you have anybody that's dealing with cancer or anything that's really serious, you can refer them to Sonoviv. They can have a call and just have a conversation with the people that are there and just sort of see what's possible. So that's it for me tonight in terms of the Cellsentials and the cycles of your business. So I will open it up to questions from you guys on, if you have any questions about Cellsentials. I know that it's a big topic. Or maybe you can share one thing that you learned newly about the Cellsentials. Was there nothing that do you guys know all of that information about the Cellsentials already?
Do not know all that information. Absolutely not.
So what is one thing that you learned about the Cellsentials that you did not know before?
One thing I learned, let's see, skin, hair, and nails
Mm-hmm.
in Cellsentials to help improve with that. Because my sister was asking, like, if there's anything like biotin, like
Mhm.
hair specific, and I was like, well, not specifically, but
There's biotin in there.
I mean, she was just asking for biotin in itself.
Okay.
We just
Yeah,
had that.
there's biotin in there, and also the minerals that work synergistically with biotin are also in there. So if you have soft nails, it's a sign of mineral deficiency for sure. And the Cellsentials has not only biotin, which is the thing that people always talk about, right? But all vitamins and minerals have cofactors, which means they don't work very well on their own. And so the rest of the ingredients in the Cellsentials is going to also really support with hair, skin, and nails as well. So you can tell her for sure there's no better product that she could take for that.
Okay. That was good to find out. Thank you.
How about you, Into? One thing that you learned? She's muted. You're muted.
One thing that I learned that there are a lot of things that Cellsentials do actually, like affect your brain and mood and bones and everything. So
Yeah. And look, the Cellsentials is not easy. It's really, it's amazing product because it can do so much. And even probably what I shared tonight was probably a little bit complicated. And it goes way more complicated. I went to a presentation by Dr. Furman, one of the doctors at USANA, and I literally couldn't understand anything that he was saying. and I, I know this stuff relatively well. So, I hope that you took a little bit of away from tonight, and have a watch of the short videos that I put into the video or in the group, and it'll go over the three categories and help you understand nourish, protect, renew. Those are really the things that you just have to be able to understand. Nourish, protect, renew. Nourish is what everybody's been doing. Protect and renew is new. So if you can just nail those areas, you can make a big difference for people, really.
right.
Okay, I want to respect everybody's time. It's 15 minutes after. I'm going to try to keep these to an hour. So anything else anybody wants to share?
At the moment.
Okay. So next week, Apple, I will send you a presentation about Biomega, and you and I can work on it together. And you can come next week ready to do an amazing presentation on what Biomega does in the body. How does that sound?
Cool. Let's do it.
Growth mindset. I love it. Growth mindset. Okay. Well, I acknowledge you both for being on the call again and being here and showing up for yourself and for the other people that are in your life that can really use USANA. I promise you that if you just put the people that you love and care about on this one product, it would have a big difference in their health. So you guys are the beacon of health in your own communities and your own environment. So go out there and have fun and keep sharing.
And we have James on the call next week, right?
Yeah. So I'll create we can create a little flyer and an announcement for next week, and then we'll get as many people on there as possible.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. Love you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.